Ned, so you said there's no daylight on the response, and we will see that. But there's clearly, and it's public out there, daylight on the characterization of the threat. The European, French, and others, Mr. Borrell, seem to be pretty annoyed by the alarming tone in Washington about an imminent threat, and they've been saying we don't have to get a nervous breakdown, we have to calm down, and we don't see that so imminent threat as the U.S. says. Do you still say there's an imminent threat of invasion? Why there is this difference between you and the Europeans?
Francesco, we don't see the difference you refer to.
What
we do see, and what you can see too, are the statements. And the statement that, for example, came from the European Commission that said in strikingly similar, if not identical language to the statement that emanated from the G7 and NATO regarding the consequences that would befall the Russian Federation in the event of such aggression against Ukraine. This has not been the United States alone making this case. We have been speaking as a chorus with our European allies and partners, with multilateral institutions and bodies like NATO and the OSCE and the G7. And again, if you take a look at the language, and you won't be surprised to hear this was not unintentional, you will see strikingly similar language across our allies and partners and across these multilateral institutions. When it comes to what the Russians have planned, it is clear as day that anyone can see the massive buildup of Russian forces along Ukraine's borders. We have been very clear about our concerns when it comes to other forms of aggression and provocations that the Russians might seek to take and have already taken. But there's only one person who knows what the Russian Federation has in store for Ukraine, and that's Vladimir Putin. Our goal has been to deter and to defend against any such plans, just as we are ready to continue down the path of diplomacy and dialogue. You have seen us continue down that path of diplomacy and dialogue in a sincere and steadfast way over recent weeks. The Secretary's travel to Geneva ultimately last week was just the latest step in that process that has also involved the Deputy Secretary in her meetings with the Russian Federation at the Strategic Stability Dialogue, the meetings at the NATO-Russia Council, the engagement in the context of the OSCE, and other allies have also been engaging the Russian Federation to this end. So, to be very clear, we are prepared to continue down this path. This path can only be successful if it takes place in the context of de-escalation. But just because we are ready and engaged in the process and path of diplomacy and dialogue doesn't mean we aren't preparing with defense and deterrence. We are doing both at the same time, precisely because we are ready for either choice that Vladimir Putin makes.
And do you consider there's an imminent threat of attack, that the attack could be imminent, immediate, as the Europeans say you are telling them, according to your intelligence?
Well, we have been clear about this in any number of venues, including in the consular advisory we issued last night. The threat that we are seeing that is clear not only to us, but clear to any casual observer, given what is taking place along Ukraine's borders, what is taking place within what should be sovereign Belarusian territory. It is a cause for great concern. And so we are taking prudent steps. We, of course, are sharing information and intelligence with our allies. That speaks to our concern and also speaks to the fact that the Russians certainly seem to be poised to be able to undertake aggressive action against Ukraine at any moment.
Just one last thing. Should we expect a new encounter or meeting or virtual meeting between the Secretary and Foreign Minister Lavrov after the written response?
Well, you heard from the Foreign Minister last week. You also heard from the Secretary last week that we will provide a written response. We are open to additional engagements, in-person engagements, should it prove useful, if we think it could be constructive, if we think it should be the next element as we pursue the path of dialogue and diplomacy. So we're open to it. Rosalind.